Like a film, Barcelona stuns Paris St Germain with Champions League rally. Lionel Messi sprinted straight past the goal. He ran away from Paris St Germain's players, who lay stricken on the turf. As his Barcelona teammates raced after Sergi Roberto, an improbable hero on an impossible night, Messi peeled off toward the fans. When he reached the edge of the field, he leapt on top of an advertising board and held his arms aloft, raised to the gods. He paused there, perched precariously, for a few seconds, and then he fell into the heaving, delirious mass of worshippers who awaited him. The crowd, senseless and mostly shirtless, seemed to swallow him whole. Behind him, Barcelona's bench was emptying, a great torrent of players and coaches and medical staff running onto the field, running in circles, running in ecstasy and exhilaration, running to burn off the adrenaline coursing through their veins after the most remarkable comeback the Champions League soccer, in fact, might ever have seen. Above him, all around him, the towering stands of Camp Nou seemed to liquefy. A crowd of 96,000 danced and waved the Senyera, the flag of Catalonia, Barcelona's unofficial emblem, giving thanks for the miracle. This stadium, this faded, beautiful ruin, shook for 20 minutes after the final whistle on Wednesday, as the players bounced on the field, looking for all the world as if they had won the competition, rather than just one round, or one match, even if it was by the score of 6-1. The building shook, and the rest of Europe shook, too. Continue reading the main story. 3 weeks before, Barcelona was out of the Champions League, beaten 4-0, in Paris, humiliated and exposed. No team in the competition's history had ever recovered from such a yawning deficit. A few days later, Luis Enrique, Barcelona's manager, confirmed that he would depart at the end of the season, saying the job had exhausted him. The task awaiting his successor, all of a sudden, seemed a mammoth one. This Barcelona team has dominated European soccer's consciousness for the past decade. It has won the Champions League 4 times: 2006, 2009, 2011 and 2015, and has been virtually ever present in the semi-finals of the competition for the last 7 years. It is, though, an aging squad. A handful of its stalwarts have departed. Xavi Hernandez, Carles Puyol, and more still are reaching the autumn of their careers. Messi, Luis Suarez, and Sergio Busquets are all nearing 30, Andres Iniesta and Gerard Piqué are beyond it. The days when Barcelona passed its opponents to death have long gone, too, abolished by Enrique in favor of a more direct approach designed to get the best out of the so-called M.S.N. Strike force, Messi, Suarez, and Neymar. It worked, too, for a time, but after a while, when all the parts are different, it becomes clear the car is not quite the same as once it was. That night in Paris had the air of a final curtain. Barcelona would get a new coach this summer, and soon it would have to start thinking about bringing in some new players, too, ones not to serve as understudies to its stars, but to be trained as replacements. 3 weeks before, Barcelona had not just seen its European campaign ended, but a chapter of its history closed. 30 minutes before, the message had been reinforced. For an hour in this second leg, there had been hope, at least, a willing suspension of disbelief. Suarez had scored in less than 3 minutes, Iniesta's persistence had forced Layvin Kurzawa into an own goal just before halftime, Messi had converted a penalty kick just after it. Barcelona needed just one more. The miracle was close enough to touch, hope transformed into belief. SSE Pud, the crowd chanted, borrowing from former President Obama. Yes we can, yes we can. And then it was all snatched away. Barcelona started the night knowing that one mistake, one slip, one lapse in concentration should prove fatal, with the away goals rule. When it came, the punishment by Edinson Cavani, it was as if the air had been sucked from the stadium, as if thousands had been awaked from a dream, voices were muffled, flags fell to half-staff. That was it. Barcelona had 30 minutes to score 3 times. Barcelona was out. What followed, as Enrique admitted, was indescribable. There had been a sense, in the build-up to this game, that if there was one team that might be able to overturn a 4-0 defeat, it was Barcelona. While there is Messi, there is hope, as the front pages of one of the city's sports daily publications had it. All of that, though, was predicated on the idea that Barcelona might score 4, to force extra time and penalties, or 5, without reply, to win outright. That was the impossible comeback. Scoring 3 in half an hour against an opponent of this quality, as Enrique pointed out, is something else entirely, something beyond impossible. Not to Barcelona, not to this Barcelona, the one that retains, even in its apparent dotage, the ability to shake a continent in a sport. Ivan Rakitic, the midfielder, described it as the club's Super Bowl moment, with Neymar taking the part of Tom Brady. It was Neymar whose free kick, with 5 minutes to play, gave Barcelona its 4th, it was Neymar whose nerveless penalty, as the game ticked into injury time, set up the grand finale. 5 minutes of injury time, 5 minutes to find one goal. Like a film, Enrique said, but a horror film, not a thriller. Marc-Andre ter Stegen, the goalkeeper, abandoned his post, trotted up the field. Hope, rather than expectation. Barcelona slung crosses into the box, all pretense at highbrow philosophies forgotten. Hope, rather than expectation. And then a cross, a flick, and Roberto's outstretched boot, diverting the ball into the net, and P.S. G. S players were on their knees and Barcelona's bench was pouring onto the field, and Messi was standing there, on the boards, in front of the fans, his arms aloft in victory, before falling into them, as you would in a dream.